السلام عليكم. Stationary points نقط توقف, or we can say turning points نقط انعطاف أو دوران. What are the stationary points? Look at the graph. In that graph we have a points at which the gradient of tangent الميل at which equals 0. So you can see that at this point the gradient of tangent to the curve is parallel to x-axis. So the gradient of tangent means the dy by dx equals 0. So at this point dy by dx equals 0. Also at this point the gradient of tangent is parallel to x-axis. So also at this point dy by dx equals 0. Also at this point you can see the tangent to the curve is parallel to x-axis. So at this point also dy by dx equals 0. We can classify نصنف the stationary points into three types, ثلاث أنواع: maximum, minimum, or inflection. The essential condition, الشرط الضروري for stationary points is dy by dx equal 0. When the point be maximum, امتى تكون عظمى? If the gradient before the point is positive and after the point is negative. When the point is minimum, صغرى, if the gradient before the point is negative and the gradient after the point is positive. When the point is inflection, if the gradient before the point is positive and after the point is positive, but at the point is 0. Or the gradient before the point is negative and after the point is negative. How can we solve the problem? To solve the problem we have two methods. عندنا طريقتين. Method number 1 we use the number line. Method number 2 we use the second derivative. So in method number 1 or number 2 we find the first dy by dx and equate it by 0 to get the stationary points. Let the stationary points are x1, x2 or x3. Let that points are stationary points. Stationary points at which dy by dx equals 0. So we find the dy by dx and equate it by 0 to get the stationary points. By using the number line, we put the numbers in order بالترتيب on the number line. For example, let this is the smallest value, x1, and then after this comes x2, and then x3. It depends on the values of x1, x2, x3. For example, if x1 is 5 and x2 is -1, so we write -1 before 5 and so on. Now, we check the sign of dy by dx. So we choose a point before x1 and we check the sign. Replace in dy by dx the value of this point. If dy by dx before x1 is positive, so we say it is increasing function. We put this R. If the value of dy by dx between x1 and x2 is negative, so we say it is decreasing. If between x2 and x3 dy by dx is positive, we say increasing. If dy by dx after x3 is positive also, we say increasing. Now what about the classification, تصنيف البوينتس دول? Look, this is top, so this is called the maximum. Increasing and then decreasing. This is bottom, decreasing and then increasing, so this is minimum. This is increasing and increasing, so it is inflection. This by using the number line. What about the second method? in the second method, we find the stationary values x1, x2, and x3, for example, by putting dy by the x by equals 0. We find the second derivative, d2y by dx2, and substitute in the second derivative by the points x1, x2, x3. For example, if at x1, d2y by dx2 is positive, so we say it's minimum. At x1, minimum value. If at x2, d2y by dx2 is negative, it's maximum. So at x2 is maximum. If, for example, at x3, d2y by dx2 equals 0, what we do? We find the third derivative, d3y by dx3. If d3y by dx3 at the point x3 not equal 0, so it is point of inflection. Let us we see example. In that example, it said find the nature of stationary points. Nature يعني طبيعة البوينts. Maximum, minimum, or inflection. What is the first step? The first step, we find dy by dx. Differentiate. So it is 3x squared minus 6x plus 3. This is the first derivative. The second step, equate dy by dx by 0. Then 3x squared minus 6x plus 3 equals 0. We use the calculator Casio FX95 mode 3. So we use Casio FX95. Here we write mode 3. We solve that equation 3x squared minus 6x plus 3 equals 0 by using the calculator Casio FX95 mode 3. When you use the calculator, you will get x equals 1. So it is 1 root by using the calculator. If you look back at the question, it said stationary point, not point. So in that question, we have one stationary point. We need to decide the nature, طبيعة, this point. Is it maximum, عظمى, minimum, صغرى, or inflection point? Okay, نقطة انقلاب. How can we do this? We have two methods. Now we go to that way. We have here two methods. The first method. In the first method, we draw the number line. Okay. So we draw the number line. Remember the number line from negative infinity to positive infinity. And put that points on the number line, x equals 1. We check what the sign of dy by dx. So this one, we check the sign of dy by dx. We choose the point before 1, for example, before 1 is 0. And after 1, for example, 2. And replace x by 0. When you replace x by 0 in dy by dx, you will get positive value. Positive value, so dy by dx positive, so the function increasing. When you replace x by 2 in dy by dx, you will get positive value in dy by dx, so dy by dx is positive. So the function also increasing. Increasing before and increasing after the point, it means that the point at x equals 1, inflection. So x equals 1 at x equals 1, inflection. Now, what about this is the first method. You can choose any method. What about the second method? The second method. In the second method, we don't draw the number line. We find the second derivative. So the second derivative is d2y by dx2. When you differentiate one more, 2 times 3 equals 6x minus 6. Now, when you replace x by 1 in d2y by dx2. When you replace x by 1, you will get 6 times 1 minus 6, it becomes 0. So what you will do, find the third derivative. So if the third derivative not equal 0, so d3y by dx3. So it is equal 6, not equal to 0 at x equals 0. Then the point is inflection point. So we write here it is inflection point. He said find the coordinates. To get the coordinates, we go to the main function and replace x by 1. So what is the function? This is the main function. We replace x by 1 in that main function. So we use the calculator and replace x by 1. The answer is 0. So when x equals 1, y equals 0. So the point x equals 1 and y equals 0, this point 1 and 0 is inflection point. Okay, we see another example. In that example, it said, find the coordinates. Coordinates, it means x and y. Of stationary points. Points, it means more than one point we can find. On the curve, identify their nature. طبيعتها إيه؟ Maximum, minimum, or inflection. And sketch the curve. What do you mean by sketch? We have two words, draw and sketch. Sketch, it means draw the axis without putting 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Just put the required points. But if I said draw, we have to draw the axis and put 0, 1, 2, 3, and so on. Now, the first step, we find dy by dx. So, first step, we find dy by dx. 3 times 4, 12, x squared, minus 4x cubed. This is the first step. The second step, equate this by 0 to get the stationary points. So equate this by 0. How can we solve this by using the calculator fx95? Rearrange that formula. So when you rearrange, we write negative 4x cubed plus 12x squared. After x squared becomes x, but there is no x. So we write plus 0x. After x comes the constant. There is no constant. We write 0 and then equals 0. What we do, we go to the calculator and we write and press on mode, okay, 3, 4. Mode 3, 4. And then we write the coefficients in order. Negative 4 equal, 12 equal, 0 equal, 0 equal, equal. You will get here x1, it is the first root, equal 3. x2 is 0. There is no other root. So we have here two roots, x equal 3 and x equal 0. Actually, x equal 0 is double root, 0 and 0, because this is power 3. We must have 3 roots to the equation. Here we have two double roots, 0 and 0. Now we need the nature of that 2 points. Identify the nature. So to identify the nature, we have 2 ways. Now we go to the first way. So this is here the first method. You can use any method. Method number 1 or method number 2, it's up to you. And now this is the second method. Again, can choose method number 1 or method number 2. Now, in method number 1, we draw the number line. So, this is the number line. We put the stationary points in order. 0 comes before 3 that are stationary. That are stationary values. X equals 3 and x equals 0. We put them in order on the number line. So 0 comes before 3. We check the sign of dy by dx. So this is dy by dx. We check the sign. How can we check the sign? Choose number before 0, for example, -1. In that dy by dx, replace x by -1. So 12 bracket -1 to the power 2 minus 4 bracket -1 to the power 3. It is positive. So in that interval, dy by dx is positive. It means that the function increasing, going up. Now, we choose number between 0 and 3. Between 0 and 3, we can choose 1. When you replace x by 1, it will be positive. 12 minus 4 is positive. So dy by dx is positive. It means the function is increasing. Increasing before and increasing after. So 0 is a stationary point. So the point is 0. So 0 is inflection point. Now, we choose value after 3. After 3, for example, we can choose 4. And we go to dy by dx and replace x by 4. 12 bracket 4 to the power 2 minus 4 bracket 4 to the power 3. It will be negative. So dy by dx is negative. So the function decreasing. Now, what you can see here, this is going up and this down. So this point is maximum point. So this point at x equals 3, maximum. So at x equals 3, maximum. This is the first method. What about the second method? In the second method, we don't draw number line. Again, I repeat, you can choose method number 1 or method number 2. In method number 2, we find d2y by dx2, second derivative. Differentiate more. 2 times 12, 24x. 3 times 4, 12x squared. We're starting with x equals 0. We're starting with x equals 3. So, d2y by dx2 at x equal 3. When x equals 3. When you replace x by 3, 24 multiply by 3 minus 12 multiply 3 squared. It will be negative. Negative, so it's maximum. So we have maximum value at x equals 3. What about at x equals 0? When you replace x by 0 in d2y by dx2, you will get 24 times 0 minus 12 times 0. It becomes a 0. So d2y by dx2 at x equals 0 equals 0. Again, d2y by dx2 at x equals 0 equals 0. Now, what we do, we find the third derivative. So, the third derivative, d3y by dx3. 24x, its derivative is 24. 2 times 12, 24x. When you replace x by 0, this will not be equal 0. So, at 0, inflection. So, at x equals 0, at x equals 0, this is inflection point. In the question, he said, find the coordinates. So, we need to get the value of y at x equals 0 and at x equals 3. We go back to the equation of the curve. So, y when x equals 3. We go back to the equation of the curve and replace x by 3. So, it's 4 bracket 3 to the power 3 minus 3 to the power 4. We use the calculator to get this value. 4 multiply 3 to the power 3 minus 3 to the power 4. It is 27. So the point 3 and 27 is maximum point. So this point is maximum point. Remember this maximum point. If we need the maximum value of the function, it is 27. So remember, this is a maximum point, and y equal 27. This is the maximum value of the function. The maximum value of the function. So we have here maximum point and the maximum value of function, and the value is maximum. So the value is maximum at x equals 3. The maximum point 3 and 27. The maximum value of the function 27. Y maximum is 27. Remember, this is called y maximum. So y maximum equal 27. The maximum value of the function, the top of the function, is 27. What about the other value? We replace x by 0 in the equation of the curve. 4 times 0 cubed minus 0 power 4. It becomes 0. So the point 0 and 0 is inflection point. Inflection point. What about the last step of the question? Sketch the curve. Sketch, it means we need the important points. What are the important points? First, we find the points of intersection with axis. So we put x equals 0 and we find the value of y. When you replace x by 0, the value of y equals 0. So the point of intersection of the curve with x-axis is 0 and 0. So the first point is 0 and 0. The second important, put y equals 0 to get the point of intersection with, okay? So this is the point of intersection with y-axis. When x equals 0, any point on y-axis, it's x equals 0. So this is the point of intersection with y-axis. Now if you put y equals 0, if you put y equal 0, let us we see here, if we put y equal 0. So y equals 0, it means the points of intersection with x-axis. Now, when y equals 0, so 4 x cubed minus x power 4 equals 0. We take x cubed, the common factor. So it's 4 minus x equals 0. So x equals x power 3 equals 0, or 4 minus x equals 0. 4 minus x equals 0 when you shift x to the other side, so x equal 4. 4 equal x, or x equal 4. So this is one point of intersection with x-axis. What about x cubed equals 0? This is a triple roots. So it means x equals 0, and x equals 0, and x equals 0. It means the curve intersects x-axis at x equals 0. Remember, if it is single root, like x equal 4, this is a single root. So the curve intersects the x-axis at x equal 4. If it's a double root, so the curve touches x-axis. If it's a triple root like this, so the curve intersects x-axis at x equal 0. Now, we draw the axis. What are the important points that we need? So the first important point is that 0 and 0. So this point is 0 and 0. And then we have here point, maximum point, x equals 3 and y equal 27. So let this point is 3. So let this point is 3. Okay? And y equal 27. Take care. Don't put 0, 1, 2, 3. It's wrong because it said sketch. If it said draw, you can say 0, 0, 1, 2, 3. So just we put the required points or the important points. So this is the maximum. This is the maximum. It is the top. So the curve like this. Maximum point. And now, x equal 4 is the point of intersection of x-axis. This point, the point of intersection of x-axis. So this point is 4. So we need this point. That are all the points we need. That are all the points that we need in that example. What about 0 and 0? 0 and 0 is inflection point, and you can see that here the function is increasing before 0 and increasing after 0, so going up. So the curve going up. So at 0 and 0, the curve going up. Look, the curve going up here because it is inflection point and it is increasing, and then we continue. Okay, and then we have a point of intersection with x-axis. So this is the graph. Only we need a point of intersection with x-axis and with y-axis, but don't forget to write x and y. So this is the sketching the curve. In sketching the curve, we need the points of intersection with x-axis, with y-axis, the maximum, minimum, and inflection. I hope you understand this lesson. Thank you.